I have a new paramotor. I'll show you around. What I'm not gonna do is the assembly video and the unboxing video. That's been done before and it's been done really well, and I just feel like I can't compete in that space. But what I can do is tell you what's up and tell you the truth, because that's what I do well. So I'm gonna stick to what I'm good at. I got a Scout. I'll tell you why. So the first part of why I got a Scout is that my nitro's broken again. This is you can't see it because I tried this crappy repair that did nothing, but my case cracked right here. Aviator has provided above and beyond support for me in terms of like do their best. The last time I cracked a case cracking, by the way, is a problem that they seem to have solved. There's a new and an old style case, and this is the old style. The first motor I had, that case cracked in the same spot. It's always that spot after about 200 hours. And they said, Woody, we don't have another case in stock. We ordered it, it's been back ordered for a long time, but it's not in stock. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We will give you Travis's motor. We will give you the owner's motor. It's always been a winner. You can have that. It has about 100 hours on it. I said, awesome, you know, back in the sky. I quickly put another 40 hours on it, and at 140, I broke that motor too. So it wasn't a new motor. It didn't have the case improvements, but it broke. And now they're like, Woody, we're sending you practically a whole new engine. It's gonna have this, it's gonna have this, it's gonna have like pretty much the bulk of the engine. They're sending me a new one. The thing is, it's been stuck in customs for a week. It's currently in Germany. I was gonna miss half of July because of the time it takes to ship it. I still don't have it. And I still don't have the parts. So I'm like, man, the situation I wanna be in is to have an air conception and one of the Witterazzi based machines. That way, if something goes wrong, I can have like all the king's horses and all the king's men working to get me back in the air again. And I have a spare motor. So I have a Tornado on order, but for right now I have a Nitro and a Scout, and I think someday I'll have a Tornado and a Scout, and maybe I'll sell this Nitro that'll have practically a new motor. That's my current line of thinking. Who knows what the truth is? Sometimes I daydream about being an instructor, and maybe the Nitro would be ideal for that. I don't know. Right now, the current process is to have a Tornado and a Scout. So why did I choose a Scout? I can count on maybe one hand the number of companies in the paramotor scene that actually innovate, right? Nirvana does with their dynamic torque compensation. F-Gravity does with their 3D steering. Pluma does with their 3D steering and that bumper on the bottom. That thing's kind of neat. Air Conception definitely gets on that list. They make the lightest motors available as a 200cc motor that weighs like 42 pounds, 45 with E-start. And their 280cc motor, it's just super powerful, and it's also super light. I don't know how much yet, but probably under 50 pounds. So they sort of break new ground with regards to power to ratio, lightweight motors and stuff, which is really nice. These guys, lightweight is not their primary focus. Instead, they have these other things. This is dynamic torque compensation. That's probably what they're most famous for. And if you look at it, these are kind of wings that make the whole motor want to rotate. Like when air gets sucked past this, it makes this thing want to rotate. The prop, on the other hand, makes it want to rotate in the other direction. So imagine a helicopter that didn't have a tail rotor. It would just spin, right? Because that tail rotor stops the bottom part from spinning if just the prop is going. That's kind of what a paramotor does. When this guy spins, it wants to make you twirl around too. But because you're sitting on it, it just kind of leans to the right. Anyway, this guy, when air sucks through it, it pulls the cage in the opposite direction that the prop pulls the cage. And that way, there's a wider range of a really perfect sort of neutral, no torque on you. That's what they're most famous for, but they do a bunch of other things pretty right as well. This harness is rated to 15 Gs, which makes it really acro friendly. There's this seat plate in the back, so if you crash in a weird way, it makes it kind of spine friendly. There's a dozen little things that they try to do nicely, and I'll let you know what I think of them as I put more time on the machine. My general thought process was, it can't be the best paramotor if it's one of the like Me Too following paramotors that just have like offset arms and a 185 plus. So that's why I went with the Scout and also Team Fly Halo. Team Fly Halo and Aviator PPG, to me, are some of the best guys in the industry. There's more good people too. You know, that's kind of the family that I've stuck to, and I've been really happy with that so far. Assembly on this guy, it was really hard for me. Like, I mean, I tell the truth. It took 6 hours. That includes some things that were one time, like reserve installation. One of these guys, actually this one in particular, I think was rotated incorrectly, so I had to like snap it free. And the Team Fly Halo guys were outstanding. They were on text and phone call, and they helped me all the way through. And maybe I just suck, but man, the world loves carbon fiber. Everyone I see is like, oh my God, it's so sexy. Look at it, isn't it amazing? In my head, I look at carbon fiber a little differently. Like, I get that it's prettier than plastic, but to me, carbon fiber is kind of just like plastic. And everything that's made from carbon fiber in my world seems to be this like stretch it, bend it, and snap it together. And man, I'll tell you, this whole thing was just filled with anxiety as I bent it to nearly the breaking point to get the thing to snap together. And the out-of-box experience was hard, but it's all together now. I can see why Scout owners don't tend to break it down every time they go to the field or anything, because it's just hard. But yeah, anyway, she's all assembled now, and I need to break her in. There's some warm up on the ground that gets done, and then we'll fly her. Okay, so this is it. This is literally my first start ever. There's a technique about finding top dead center that I'm not really an expert in, so I don't know how this will go. Ouch. Fuck that. I have a friend in North Carolina who flies, it's a different Paramotor, but it's the same engine. And he starts it with his left hand, first pull, one-handed. I don't know how he does it. Well, I finished the first heat cycle. You don't have to sit through it, but basically you run it at, I think it's 4 minutes at 4,000, 3 minutes at 5,000 RPM, 2 minutes at 6, 1 at 7, and then 30 seconds at 8,000 RPM. In between each one, you wait a minute at idle. So it kind of heats up, cools off, heats up, cools off. Do that repeatedly. It takes, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And then I have to let it cool for half an hour. So I'm gonna have lunch, but yeah, so far it's so good. Yeah. All right, we had two things to get done. One, I have this kind of cool flight computer, which will mount by the throttle. And it shows you like outdoor temp, motor temp, how much fuel you have. That's why it's blinking right now, tack and stuff. It's nice, but the batteries run out on it. As opposed to the one I chose for my nitro. I mean, this thing's at 238 hours and I've just never thought about it. This guy, I've already changed the batteries, so we got that done. It's kind of tricky to get to, but it's in that box. The next thing, Tucker Gott put it really well when he said that, like, when it comes to what people like, they just kind of like what they have and they're used to their preference. This big Polini throttle, not terrible, but it's not my cup of tea. This Air Conception throttle, this is what I like. So we're gonna swap on an AC throttle to the Scout, just like Tucker does, my hero. And Ross is the man with the plan.
So we'll see what we can do.
Different people have different preferences, but for me, I like this a little shorter. When I hold it with 2 fingers, I want these 2 fingers to work my brake. And this has a tendency to kind of get stuck in the brake when it's this long. I cut the last one a little bit shorter, like on the other side of this bend, and that was too much. So I'm going to start way out here, and if it's too much, I can always shorten it, but I can't really add it back on. So we'll see how this goes. Ah, that'll do. We are coming into the home stretch here. The Scout does a pretty first-class job on how the throttle cable routes through the carburetor, and it inspired us to do a first-class job too on replacing it, which takes like 6 times as long. You should see, we just spent like 20 minutes soldering the end of the cable so it would never fray. You probably can't see it, but trust me, it's very good. And yeah, anyway, so we're just spending some time getting this right. Scout's frames are made of this C-channel, which isn't what I expected, but it's nice for routing all the wiring and stuff. So it'll be clean when we're done. Got some work to do. All right, so I've got my wing all laid out. I'll fix the tip because perfect layouts lead to perfect inflations. I'm getting a little better at starting the motor, which is nice. The wind's a little shifty because it's kind of midday thermals right now. Nice time to try out a new motor, but I have to work tonight, so you get what you get, you don't pitch a fit, right? Let's see how this goes. Wish me luck. That was really easy. Well, I'm gonna get some altitude. I'll check back with you in a minute. All right, so there's Ross on the ground, and he's in a similar position to me in that we both had motor trouble. He got his parts faster than mine, so he's already has his nitro rebuilt, but he needs to do the same thing as me, which is 2 30-minute flights, easy flights where you like change the RPM a lot and try not to go full throttle very much and just stuff like that. So I'm out here just kind of chilling. I was thermaling, but I don't have a Vario and it's kind of hard to thermal without the beeping to help you. I'm not sure why Ross hasn't launched yet. Maybe he missed a launch or maybe he has motor trouble, but he's down there getting set up. I'm up here putting time on the motor at various RPMs and such, just breaking it in. I missed the launch, but I do see that Ross is up. Is he setting up for a landing? Does he have a problem? I'm gonna keep filming him in case he's having trouble. Yeah. So, I doubt he was planning on a 60-second flight, and I think that implies that something happened. But he kind of nailed his landing, so that much is good. Normally I'd come straight down and see if I could help him. You didn't see maybe as much of his flight as I did, but he was at like 300 or 400 feet. So there's a story down there. I just don't know what it is. I was starting to say I'd come down and help him, but I'm doing a specific break-in flight, and I happen to know that he's fine, like uninjured. So I'll let you know. So I want to do some big wing overs. Idle's kind of high. But this is neither the wing or the day to do big wing overs with. Like, it's just a little tricky because it's like 5 hours before sunset, so it's all thermals and rocky. And this wing, while it's fun to do big carvy stuff in smooth air, you get so lightly loaded that I feel like thermals could knock it around. But let's play with it mildly and see what we think. Alright, I take it back. I didn't go mild at all. Lots of outside brake.
Nice. Woo-hoo-hoo. And some wide ones. Yeah. Went well. I think if I grade myself, I could have gone better on my weight shift, but that's because this paramotor's so new to me. God damn, pitch and surge. But I did the right thing. So anyway, I've got a little more time to burn. Gotta get some altitude. So there's a thing my friends and I do. We send each other selfies, flipping the bird at one another. My phone's in here somewhere. I don't have a tether system set up yet, so this is a little sketch. I'm not driving. No passwords for you people. All right, phone. Flip that. See how that shot came out? Not bad. I'm on the ground now. Looks like Ross is coming in for his landing. Looks like he's catching, not right now, but a second ago he was catching some dicey air. Killed the motor. Nail it, Ross. Nailed it. Yeah! Okie dokie, flight number 2. I found out what happened Ross's first flight. Basically, he had taken the harness off the paramotor. Oops. And when he put it back, mistakes were made. So he was, you know, hanging by his armpits and other tricky stuff. But fortunately, nailed the landing. Ross is a high-hour pilot now. And he went back to the garage, actually. Used my motor as kind of an answer key. Fixed it. And got his first warm-up flight in. All right, this should do it. I should have jerked it harder on the initial inflation, so I had to work it a bit. But, we hit it. So I'm sure at least some of you are wondering which paramotor I like more. I feel like I should address the elephant in the room. And my answer is not that satisfying. It's gonna be, let's chill, you know? This is literally my second flight on my Scout. I've had a flight or two on other Scouts. And I don't know yet. It seems like it'll take over time. I would give you a little bit more of a review if it wasn't for how I'm flying this. It's in the middle of the day. It's rocking thermally. I'm catching it constantly. I don't have as much time on this wing. It's not the one I normally fly. And it's like, man, it's just hard to grade this motor when I'm, you know, catching surges and pitches and just bouncing around all the time. But I'll tell you what my expectation is. My expectation is I will like the Nitro more on the ground and the Scout more in the air. On the ground, the Nitro is lighter, although weight's not that important after you launch. On the ground, the Nitro is more durable. My house has a lot of brick in it, like there's brick in the kitchen, there's brick by the garage, and if the Nitro titanium slides on the brick, it's no big deal. Like you wouldn't care about something like that. But if the carbon fiber slides against the brick, it's the same emotion you get when you drop your iPhone. Like, oh, like, you know, that's where I am right now. We'll see how this changes over time. The Scout is also heavier, so when you're like, you know, trudging across the field and stuff like that, that's a thing. But in flight, the Scout is smoother and it's more powerful, and people say it's more comfortable. I need to get back in my Nitro again. I find almost every paramotor to be pretty comfortable, so maybe I'd need to fly all day to discover a difference in comfort. But in my 1-2 hour flights, like I've always been comfortable on every paramotor I've flown, and I've flown 5 or 6 of them so far. macro. So one thing I'm looking forward to in the Scout is, you remember earlier in the video I talked about the way torque compensation works? That means that at idle, I don't have torque compensation, offset arms all the time. And idle is when I do my wing overs. So maybe, like I currently do better to the left than the right. That should even out at least some, maybe, when the paramotor turns equally left and right, as opposed to offset arms where it turns a little better to the left than the right. But that could also be 100% pilot. And I can't tell yet because, you know, I've only had the flight on this big 28 meter classic wing and midday thermals bouncing me around. So hard to say. Anyway, to sum all that up, I expect nitro better on the ground, Scout better in the air, but let's give it some time and see how I feel. I'm gonna head over to that sod farm, mill around, come back, and then my second break-in flight should be finished, and then I'll have no strings on me. I'll be able to fly as long as I want. And then of course, actually pretty much a puppet. That was a funny analogy to use. So once again, I'm gonna try to do a couple wing overs. It's a little bumpy, and I need to get a visual on Ross. There he is. I don't want to hit him. That'd make for a lousy day for everybody. Big one. I had previously had a bad habit of grabbing my risers, which I've cured for about a month now, but I have a reputation for doing it, and that's almost worse. I found out there were guys talking about me in an SIV course in California. It's like, man, my shitty reputation has really gone far and wide. But rest assured, I've stopped doing that. We got that sorted out. Let's do some wide ones. Woohoo! This wing maintains altitude so well. Like on a smaller reflex wing, if I did half as many wing overs, I'd be hitting the ground. This thing, how many turns was that? Like 10, 13? And it's like I didn't even do any. I'm still way up here. It's a floaty wing. Getting a little more used to her, weight shifting a little better. Just, you know, getting to call her home. Gonna have more than one home going forward.
Future Woody here. I wish I had this view more often. Like, wing overs are amazing, right? Imagine doing this from the highest swing set the world has ever seen. This is actually the same footage that you just watched a second ago. This is what it looks like from a third-person perspective. And this isn't even that big. Like, I go a little bigger on my smaller wings, but this is kind of big, slow, and carvy. And he misses a bunch coming up. But you'll see that, like, I'm still going here off camera. And soon he'll look down to his left and you'll see the last couple of them. But this is what wing overs are like. I wish that I could share it with you guys like this all the time. There I am in the bottom. A little more. Still going. Try and get my landing on camera. If you watch my videos all the time, you know where I live. That house is mine with the pool in the middle of the big yard. So, this wind. So the wind's been changing direction, and the direction it's in right now is not favorable. It's not how I want to land, and I don't think it'll stay that way. But we'll work with what we got. We can land with any direction wind. We'll see what it's like when I get there. So, you've seen a river, and you know when the water flows past a rock, it gets all, like, that's where the rapids are on the other side. In aviation, that's called rotor.
And the reason I didn't like that wind direction is there are a lot of sources of rotor upwind when you come from there, like my house and stable and trees and stuff. So I'm about to take a look at what I'm dealing with. All right. So I think I just need to like carve it here. Yeah, we can work with this for sure. I gave it a little gas instead of spot landing because, I don't know, this whole situation just feels so unfamiliar to me today. I'm gonna set myself up for success instead of try to do tricks. Just felt like I got dropped a little bit, but we can work with this. It's just rotary and all right. Well, hey, not too bad. I'm on my feet. Ross is coming in for his landing. See if he nails it again. He's doing good. Nice. He has this. Oop. Nailed it. I thought he was going to run all the way over here for the high five. Yeah, see how he landed into the wind and then it crosswind, and it's just midday. Anyway, I'll do an outro in a minute. Well, we got the motor all broken in. We did all our ground warming up. We did our 2 half-hour flights. I like it. The biggest thing for me is that I have 2 motors now. I'm not grounded anymore. My wife has been nagging me to get a second paramotor for ages now, and I see why. Like, I'm happier when I fly. I'm a better husband, father, and dog owner when I'm not grounded. So that shouldn't happen so much anymore. This fall will be really interesting because I think I'm going to have a Scout and a Tornado, and we'll see which one I reach for in the common case. But as it is now, shucks, I feel like I can't lose. My nitro parts are in the mail in Germany. They'll get here and I'll be all set. So anyway, yeah, me, not grounded. That's awesome. I hope you liked the video. I like making it.